If you followed, I was in the field about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Jen was with me. We were covering the Mountain Valley Pipeline in Virginia. It's going through West Virginia and Virginia. It's a natural gas pipeline. It is fracked gas. It is going through some of the steepest slopes in the United States. It's going through the Appalachian Trail, which is some of the most beautiful, pristine forests, some of the most beautiful, pristine waters, some animals that you don't see in other places, and God knows how many people live across the trail where they're putting the pipeline through. If you've watched on this channel, if you haven't, it's because YouTube didn't notify you that these videos went up. But we have videos where we're live showing you the deforestation and all these beautiful trees that were cut down to put the pipeline through. We show the water that is at risk. We interview residents. We interviewed protesters who climbed up in their trees. So there was a protester high up in atop a pole in Jefferson National Forest, named Nutty. I don't know if that's her real name, but Nutty climbed up on March 27th when it was still very cold, and she stayed up atop this pole in Jefferson National Forest to try and stop this pipeline from getting through West Virginia and Virginia. She stayed up there until yesterday. The U.S. National Forest Service had been denying her food, had been denying her water. She was basically out of food, and her water, I got mixed reports. Some people said she was drinking from the rainwater that was falling out of the skies. Some people said she had a little water left, but needless to say, her body and mind was slowly fading. And since a new protest started yesterday, Fern McDougal climbed up a pole connected to, she climbed up and made a platform connected to 2 trees. So she's up there now. Nutty decided to come down. So let me read you her post on her decision to come down. And by the way, don't you think it's kind of criminal that the fact that a young woman, 28 years old, was literally protesting atop a pole in a forest for almost 2 months? Did you hear about that from any media outlet? I didn't. Read an article here and there. I didn't see CNN covering it. I didn't see MSNBC covering it. Certainly not the New York Times, the Washington Post. Of course not. Why cover protests in the forests trying to stop unnecessary, dangerous pipelines that could explode and create epic forest fires, kill people within a 2.5-mile radius? Why bother covering that? Oh, that old thing? It's disgusting. So, here's what she wrote. Let me get it for you. From Nutty. If you're reading this, it means the monopod blockade is no more. We knew it couldn't last forever. That's how this works. If we rely on one location, one tactic, or one group of people to stop this pipeline, we will fail. But we're not. I know that as this one facet of the struggle draws to conclusion, more people in other places are gaining momentum. The fire has already caught. We must not let it die. It was a painful decision to come down. The food ran out on May 19th. The water is still plentiful, but as Fern defends the same road, Fern is the new person who climbed up and set up a tree platform between 2 trees. But as Fern defends the same road, a few more days of growing weaker before starting the process of recovering from this and figuring out other ways to fight doesn't make sense to me. And yet I don't know how I could explain this to you in a way that won't seem like a defeat. I could only remind you and remind myself that this was never about one action, but about a multifaceted struggle that will continue in each of us who tries to act, to live each moment in defiance of all that would make us silent, obedient, governable. Yesterday, I knew it was the last night I would spend here. I looked up at the stars and the moon, at the leaves lit by floodlights, looking for the right words, but finding only the hardness in my throat and tears in my eyes, at what they will do to this piece of road when I am gone, at all the countless struggles that end in mourning and in loss. This morning, I tried for what was, I should say, in the harshly beautiful calls, this morning I tried to listen for what it was I should say in the harshly beautiful calls of ravens and came up with the same answer, that words are not enough. No words can speak, no words can speak the full truth of 8 weeks spent here. No matter what I make of them, my words cannot conjure fire. If they have fed some flame already in you, then they have done their work. If they could call forward to me in times to come when I want to give in and hide from everything, then they will have done all that I could hope for. I am leaving with a promise, a commitment born of long days and nights lying over 40 feet up in a monopod and of 22 years learning that I exist within a civilization that I would rather die fighting than live quietly within. Wow. This is a battle happening everywhere, and I want to keep finding my place in it. For the moment, in the wild and beautiful terrain of Appalachia, we are still here. They're still trying to put a pipeline through. So let's keep learning from each other what is possible. Build skills. Experiment with tactics. Let's build up our defenses against those who would constrain us. If anyone was still unsure before, events thus far should have shown us that the cops and the state stand where they have always stood, on the side of the powerful, of exploitation, of turning land and water into profit. Let's dig deeper than this single pipeline struggle to attack the roots of what is ruining our world, confronting internal as well as external patterns and assumptions, facing the violent histories that still find their home in the present. This land was already stolen, and private property shouldn't exist any more than this pipeline should. This fight didn't begin with this pipeline, and it won't end until the destruction of colonialism, white supremacy, capitalism, patriarchy, governance, everything weakening destruction on the earth and waging constant war on certain human beings to create empty structures of wealth and power. Let's let what we learn in this struggle reach into every corner of our lives, even as our lives and relationships meld inextricably with our actions. Let's build friendships and commitments strong enough to withstand the long fight ahead. It's going to be very hard, very hard. I think we've only gotten glimpses of what we need to achieve to stop this pipeline. Yet, if those glimpses are any indication, the coming months and the coming years and lifetimes fighting the many facets of the world we're trying to destroy will continue not only grueling effort and frequent moments of doubt, but also unexpected joy, laughter, and triumph. So keep on fighting and growing communities that have no room for pipelines or their world. I hope to see you on the mountains and the streets, by the rivers, in the field, and wetlands and forests. Nutty. Wow. I mean, wow. What do you say to that? I mean, first and foremost, that is, she almost made it 60 days. 60 days atop a pole in a forest, living through very, very cold temperatures, living through very, very hot temperatures, living through the police and the Forest Service down there taunting her, living through them blasting sirens and music to try and get in her head, trying to deprive her of supporters who came in. They tried to keep the supporters very far from her, so she was in isolation. And the fact that, I'm not telling you, like, go climb up a tree and protest, but the fact that these people, there's been, I believe, 9 so far that have climbed up on trees, on poles, basically to block the trees from getting cut down. The pipeline needs these trees to be cut down to put the pipeline through the ground. The fact that they are putting their lives on the line, definitely their health on the line, the legal issues that they're going to face. They are American heroes. Whether you agree or disagree with what they're doing, when you're willing to fight to that level for what you believe, that's an American hero. And the U.S. National Forest denied food that came in via donations. They denied her water, which came in via donations. They denied her medical care. If you watched the interview I did with an attorney filed suit against the U.S. National Forest Service, who was denying her the ability for doctors to go do a check, an evaluation of her. They were denying her all of this. And you want to say we live in a democracy? The pipeline company, these fossil fuel companies, are getting forest land. They're getting people's personal property via eminent domain. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission is basically handing out land, forest land, farmland, people's private land that they purchased, and giving it to fossil fuel companies, because the fossil fuel companies buy off the politicians. And they're using eminent domain to do this. So technically, this part of the forest apparently belongs now to Mountain Valley Pipeline. That's warped. That is warped. And she's right. It's capitalism, it's imperialism, it's colonialism, all of that. So, listen, I personally, when I was there, I couldn't cover it. I just had back surgery. I could not climb up do the mile and a half, I believe, was the walk up this mountain to get to where she was. I wasn't, and I'm not in the condition to do that, but I've tried to cover her. I think she's a hero for what she's done. There is zero shame in the fact that she came down after almost 60 days. The true shame is the corporate media who did not cover this. We have a freedom of speech in this country. We have a freedom of the press, but apparently the press is using those freedoms to cover Donald Trump, Russia, porn stars, and nothing else.